Welcome to our community. Susie Thomas with you this morning. We are delighted to welcome Pete Fearley from the Professional Football Hall of Fame. What's your exact title, Pete?
I'm the Chief of Staff and Vice President of Communications, and to expand on the Pro Football Hall of Fame, what we're creating here, which is obviously going to change this region for decades to come, we call it the most inspiring place on earth.
I love that. A takeoff from Disney's Happiest, but the most inspiring place on earth. And we'll get into Disney a little bit later, but Pete, this is the most exciting time of your week, right? I mean, this week has to be just huge as far as what you're doing in your days, day in and day out.
It is. It's really exciting. It puts Canton on the map. You know, in the Enshrinement Week, which is now powered by our partner, Johnson Controls, is really a great celebration that has grown over the years. This community has supported the Enshrinement Festival for over half a century, and every year it gets bigger and better. And the Enshrinement Week, powered by Johnson Controls, focuses on those events that are happening right on the Hall's campus, the enshrinement, the game, the Concert for Legends, and all the other celebration. But that is enveloped in this entire festival, which this community really celebrates. And it's exciting because the outside world, when they look at Canton, Ohio, and when I talk about Canton, I'm talking about this entire region. I'm talking North Canton, Greene, Alliance, Massillon, really throughout Northeast Ohio, because what we're creating, as I just said, the most inspiring place on earth, and we'll talk more about that, but it is going to have a far-reaching impact. But this weekend, as we celebrate the kickoff to the NFL season, has grown to the point where the National Football League looks at this weekend as a bookend to the season with the Super Bowl on the other end. And it just keeps getting bigger and better. Fans from all over the country travel to our community to celebrate. This community embraces it and takes part and really shows up to really show the world how great of a celebration this is. And it's a fun to be a part of. I have to admit it's a little tiring at times, but it is really special to see how it continues to grow.
We've always known it was special. It's very exciting right now to see, kind of like the rest of the world catching up. And do you love seeing how the whole community embraces it? Everyone's finding some football connection. I love Massillon's tie-in with Paul Brown. I love the way the Canton Museum of Art is going to be having its scrimmage exhibit. I love the way the entire community seems to be on board, and we have all the paddles rowing in the same direction now, don't we?
We really do, and that's at the foundation of what we're building here with. And you know, if Disney is the happiest place on earth, what we are creating is the most inspiring place on earth. And you don't even have to be a football fan to enjoy what we're doing. We're building off a platform of what this game teaches. So the Hall of Fame's mission is to honor the heroes of the game, preserve its history, promote its values, and celebrate excellence, not just on the football field, but celebrate excellence everywhere. And we've identified maybe 60 or 70 values we think you learn from this game that can be applied to the game for life, if you will. And there's 5 core values of commitment, integrity, courage, respect, and excellence. That those are values that not only make someone a Hall of Famer, but those are the very same values that make you a great broadcaster, a great mother, a great father, a great community. And that's really what we're building off of. And I think this celebration of the game is so exciting because, you know, football dominates the sports landscape in this country. I'm not sure if you're aware of this, Susie, but the average television ratings of an NFL games are 13 times higher than Major League Baseball, the NBA, and the NHL combined. It's complete domination, but I think a lot of it is, for so many fans, they don't actually go to First Energy Stadium and see the Cleveland Browns or across the country seeing their NFL teams. 93% of those fans out there who identify themselves as fans of the NFL will never step foot in an NFL stadium.
Wow.
But they do watch it on TV with their friends and their family, and it brings us bonding together. And we think it's just, there's so many metaphors for life. And, you know, football, I think the best metaphor of football is it's the only sport where you need every teammate on every play just to survive. And then how about the metaphor of every play you get knocked down and you have to get back up? If that's not a lesson for life, I think that's what's so great about it. And I think that's why it is so popular in this country. And you don't have to be a rabid, you don't have to face paint, you know, in the Browns colors to enjoy this, but just to understand what this game can teach. And that's what's so exciting about the Enshrinement Week powered by Johnson Controls. It's what's so exciting for the future of what's going to really change the landscape of this entire region for decades to come.
Going back to that quote, I love that it doesn't matter how many times you get knocked down, just how many times you get back up again. And what you're saying is so true, because look at how many little children play on midget football league. Very few of them go on to play collegiate football. Fewer still go to play professional, and fewer still end up in the Hall of Fame. But all of them have experienced those values and those character traits that are taught to them by coaches and parents working with them that they take on to other aspects of life, don't they?
Absolutely. And what's great about it is it's the sport where after every play you come together and you huddle up.
Yes.
And that huddle is something pretty special. I think that's what, for those who play the game, miss the most when their playing days are done. But you could be a young boy or girl playing flag football, or you could be an NFL team. You still come together in that huddle, and in that huddle are people of different races, different religions, different backgrounds, and quite frankly, it doesn't matter how much money your parents make. It doesn't matter where you came from. And the other great part of that huddle is there are people, some people in that huddle, it's their job to run with the football or pass the football or catch the football. There's others who they never touch the ball, but it's their job to protect and to help set a path. And so it's great to see the sizes, the skills, the backgrounds, perhaps more so than any other sport where you can really bring it together. And that's where you get that special bond. And again, there's just so many reasons why football is so popular. And we're going to talk in a little bit about how exciting Johnson Controls Hall of Fame Village is. I'm going to describe the 10 components, but I will tell you the very foundation of what we're creating here. And all the people who are jumping on board, and we're talking about some world-class talent, Susie, they are all required to believe in that Hall's mission and believe in those values, because this is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to not only change Northeast Ohio, or the impact, again, is going to be more far-reaching, but we're creating the most inspiring place on earth. We want people to come to Canton, Ohio, to come to Johnson Controls Hall of Fame Village. And it doesn't matter if you're a fan, if you're a high-performance athlete, if you're a mother or father who are bringing your son or daughter to a camp, if you're just dining on campus. We want you to be impacted in a way. We're going to absolutely just immerse you in the values of the game. So when you leave that experience, you'll have some thought-provoking moments that will actually change your life.
You'll be
pretty
inspired.
exciting.
Terribly exciting. I do remember reading, and I can't remember the author's name, but the author of Red Badge of Courage had never fought in a war, but he had played football. And that was the experience he drew from to write that Civil War novel. Kind of interesting. He used a football field as his basis for writing the Red Badge of Courage. Now I'm going to have to go home and look up who the author is, because I remember that little anecdote about him. Let's talk about the heroes of the game. Let's talk about this year's enshrinement. Who are we going to be welcoming into the hall this year?
Well, we have a wonderful class of 2017. Morton Anderson, who becomes only the second a full-time kicker to be enshrined in the Pro Football Hall of Fame. He's the game's he's the game's all-time leading scorer. He'll be joined by Terrell Davis, who is a great running back with the Denver Broncos, who had a relatively short career, but one that's so impactful that he'll be now remembered forever in the Pro Football Hall of Fame. Kenny Easley, who is a great safety for the Seattle Seahawks, and he is our senior nominee, so he's waited a long time to get in. You have Jerry Jones, the dynamic owner of the Dallas Cowboys. Jason Taylor, who played his football just up the road here at the University of Akron. LaDainian Tomlinson, the great running back of the San Diego Chargers. And then Kurt Warner, whose story is just one of perseverance, a guy who
inspiring.
Incredibly inspiring. All of them will have some great stories to tell when they get enshrined on August 5th. And I would have your listeners think about coming to join us in stadium. There's still tickets available. You can go to profootballhof.com/tickets. And if you have never been to an enshrinement, or if you have not been to an enshrinement in the last couple of years, it is an experience that it's great to watch on TV. ESPN and NFL Network broadcast that. They do a great job. But I will tell you, Susie, being in that stadium, the stage is unbelievable. Over 130 of our returning Hall of Famers, or what we call Gold Jackets, will be on the stage welcoming the new class. There will be a who's who of those who've played the game, active players, retired players here to support the new class. But there's a raw emotion of when the new class gets enshrined, to be in the stadium and to see that. Behind them is a giant video screen, and it's flashing images of their childhood, of their careers. And the really interesting thing that I find is when someone gets enshrined in the Pro Football Hall of Fame, or as we tell them when they get elected, you're going to Canton. And to the outside world, going to Canton is transformational. This has totally changed these people's lives. And they realize when they step to that podium, they have a flood of emotion that comes through them. Mm-hmm. And if you listen to the speeches, and again, seeing them in person is just, you can really feel the emotion. But last year we counted the use of the word love 148 times by those who were being enshrined. And they don't talk about themselves. They don't even talk about their greatest game, their greatest play. But what they do talk about are the people in their life that have helped them get to where they are. And they talk about their teammates, their coaches, the fans, their family, and their friends. And it's just something, again, the enshrinement ceremony has become just a spectacular event. It's really why we have this celebration in Canton, Ohio. And, a lot of people think of the days of when the enshrinement used to last 5.5 hours. We work a lot with these guys to make sure, so we're working to get that enshrinement kind of in that time frame of what you would do when you go and, it's about the time of a NFL game. So we work with them. We do a lot of things to enhance the program. But what's great also when you're in stadium is that when TV cuts to commercial, we keep going, and there's interviews with some of those Hall of Famers. There's entertainment, and it's a really great event. So I encourage your listeners to come out and support it. It's important to show the world that Canton, Ohio is the place that kicks off the season. We're working hard to get the NFL draft here to celebrate the league centennial, and we need everybody on board to show that support of how this community really comes together to celebrate the game.
You can be a part of history this year because no one has yet observed an enshrinement in that particular stadium in its new transformation. Let's talk about Tom Benson Hall of Fame Stadium.
Tom Benson Hall of Fame Stadium, a shout out to the dedicated workers who have been working really around the clock for months now to get this project done. The stadium will be dedicated on August 3rd. Just hours before we kick off the NFL season, we'll have Tom Benson here, the owner of the New Orleans Saints, who generously donated $11 million to the project. And this is no longer a high school stadium. It is truly a world-class sports and entertainment complex. It is described by the architects who also designed the stadium in Dallas. They just did US Bank Stadium in Minnesota. They're going to be doing the LA Stadium project. They describe this as every bit as world-class as those venues. What makes it unique, it's only 23,000 seats, so there's not a bad seat in the house.
Right.
It has a built-in stage at the 50-yard line, so when you're there for the enshrinement or you're there for the Concert for Legends, which this year is Toby Keith and Kid Rock, we'll have other music concerts and festivals throughout the year as we start developing the programming, but you have a straight-on view of that stage. And we've built a press box to handle a large media core, but we've also added now hospitality suites. We have a club level of about 900 seats that allow you into a club level that rivals any stadium in the league, and there's just a number of amenities in it. It's also been created to handle kind of the new type of fan, the millennials who don't want to just sit in a seat for 3 hours. So we've created actually 5 fan terraces in the west end zone. And that allows you to really kind of almost watch the game or the concert or, future events. It could be soccer or lacrosse. It could be, a speaker series, whatever it might be in the stadium. You'll be able to watch it from the terrace almost as if you're in your backyard patio. And so it's a very, very unique stadium. And
how about food? How do you take care of food while you're going from place to place?
Huge amount of concessions.
Yes.
So it will, again, it's going to be to the standards of the new types of stadiums.
Wow.
So I think a lot of listeners will be happy to know there's a lot more restrooms than what we used to have in Fawcett Stadium.
That's awesome news, yes.
Yeah, so, but lots of concessions. And the great thing is the concourse, very wide. It's just a spectacular venue. And then the greatest thing is we'll finish up next year. We're going to put in the end zone to the east, which is the closest to 77. We'll finish that up. We'll have some temporary seating in there for this year's events, but we'll finish that up next year. But you'll be able to walk 360 and do the whole, it'll have a whole bowl feel. It ties into the rest of Johnson Controls Hall of Fame Village. So
it does have a bowl feel. Did they dig down into it? Because it honestly does look like a bowl
Absolutely,
as far as
yes.
the stadium.
Yeah, so what we did is we lowered the field about 15 feet to street
what I
level.
wondered.
We
Okay.
added in that fan plaza that connects it to the hall. So you're almost, you have a great angle of that iconic dome of the Hall of Fame that will continue to serve as the backdrop. It'll be looking great on TV, but it is just the sight lines in this stadium. The seats are incredibly comfortable. No more of those bench seats. You're going to have the comfort of what you would expect. And so I often say you don't even have to like our musicians for this year's Concert for Legends or the enshrinement or the game, but you should just go just to see and be part of history, as you said, be the first to ever see an enshrinement or the Hall of Fame game or the Concert for Legends in that brand new stadium. It'll be something you definitely want to do.
The previous press box was already impressive. This has got to be unbelievable.
Oh, it is. And what's really great about that, Susie, is that this project is not meant just to be great for Canton or for Northeast Ohio or even for this region, but it's supposed to be world class. And so we've challenged all of the talented design team to meet those demands. And so they came back initially with a design of a press box that was fantastic. In fact, I think any college or any NFL team would have been happy with it. But we said, no, that doesn't work for us. What we need is something that is suitable for a sports and entertainment complex.
Yes.
So we create a press box that can handle, if you will, Easter Sunday, meaning the Hall of Fame game, which a large national media core. You have 5 radio teams there, national broadcast, 2 from each of the teams, a national television broadcast partner, instant replay coaches, all that. But then we're going to be hosting the Division III NCAA championships in 2020 and 2021, and that'll have a smaller media core. We will have the Black College Football Hall of Fame, which is now a major component of Johnson Controls Hall of Fame Village, having their kickoff classic here, and other types of events like that or concerts that you don't need all that space for the media. So we've made all the spaces to be very flexible. So when you have a smaller media core, you'll actually be able to turn those spaces into other hospitality or other types of entertainment spaces. And that's what's really exciting about this stadium.
Very cool. We do need to take a short break. We'll be back after these words with Pete Fierley from Hall of Fame Village. You're listening to Our Community.